The university recognises outstanding individuals who have contributed to society and their professions. We do this through giving honorary awards. Today, we'll recognise one of these outstanding individuals. Chancellor, it was unanimously resolved by the Senate and the Council of the University to confer an honorary degree of Doctor of the University upon Richard Shaw. Richard Warburton will present the candidate. Richard.
You can stand there. Good afternoon. Lord Lieutenant, High Sheriff, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests and graduands. It genuinely gives me enormous pleasure to provide the oration today to welcome Richard Shaw on behalf of the University of Bradford as one of our newest honorary graduates. Now, before he's presented with his honorary degree, I hope to offer a little bit of an introduction. As he knows better than anyone else as well, often good stories start at the beginning. Now, Richard was gracious enough to share with me his CV, on it which it states he was born in Leeds with a full, clean driving licence. Now, for most people, I think that was surprising, but I think it's probably true in this case. Roll on 25 years, and Richard was at the National Theatre as promotions manager, spearheading the celebrations of the 25th anniversary of the NT Company. Now, this is one of the first of many eye-wateringly impressive positions during his early career, including roles at the English National Ballet, the Royal Opera House. But one of the things that I've come to learn about Richard is that he's not one to stand still or to swerve a challenge. So, sat on the steps of the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden, Richard sat down, a little bit exhausted, and he wrote a list. And on it, he wrote, "Get out, go into telly, make films, make a difference." Now, the segue from theatre to television, from live arts to film, it's not actually easy. Very few manage it. It's a completely different industry. And the doors you knock on are much smaller and invariably locked. But he did just that. And the second stage of his career included head of development for Line Television, and from there he took on the role of director of marketing at the British Film Institute. And his achievements there are genuinely second to none. Now, in 2019, he decided to return to the home of his youth, initially planning on moving close to where he'd grown up as a child in Headingley. But fate intervened. And as Bradford often does, it called with an offer he couldn't refuse. So he aborted the little-known city of Leeds and arrived in Bradford to take up the position of bid director for the City of Culture's application for City of Culture. Spoiler alert, it went quite well. But whilst we are all applauding here, that success was no means likely or indeed expected. Galvanising an arts community is not easy. It may come as a surprise to know that artists and organisations can be riven with ego, competing over funding and spaces, and it can make it feel nigh on impossible to collectivise, especially in the face of competing wants and needs. This is to say that before Richard could even begin to galvanise a city, he needed to collectivise the artists. And it takes a very special individual to do just that. On a warm afternoon in April, I walked into the long room of the Salts Mill, and filling the space was over 100 artists and academics and other people here, all greeting Richard with delight. There was a lot of clandestine thumbs up aimed at each other as we all waited for the imminent visit from the City of Culture judges. Now, I'm sure there are many things that tipped it in our favour, but it goes without saying, what is undeniable is that Richard Shaw, with, I must say, support from some other fabulous people, pulled off one of the greatest wins for this city Bigger even than the Bantams' 4-2 shocker over Chelsea 8 years earlier. So it's no hyperbole to say Bradford won one of the biggest prizes going, a whopper of a gong. And it was won through Bradford Richard's leadership, which was exemplified through curiosity, rigour and compassion. He shows and continues to show boundless enthusiasm, even through the tricky bits, when I'm sure the task felt more uphill than ever. He brought and kept people on side. He played a blinder in bringing Shanaz Gulzar on as the chair. He won over the voices of pessimism, and he made people care and believe that it was achievable. Now, I'm pretty sure right now he'll try and convince you otherwise and downplay his role in the whole shebang. But Richard has proved to have a heart the size of his head and his chest, which has shone throughout. He came, and what a difference he made, and perhaps another item ticked off that list. Richard told me recently that he still has that list that he wrote on the steps of the Royal Opera House. He pulled it out not long since and realised he'd achieved every one of the goals he set himself. Now, perhaps it's unlikely he won't get an honorary degree from the University of Bradford, but he can add that to his list now and immediately tick it off. Well played and well deserved. So, wherever Richard sets his sights, I'm convinced he'll nail that too. For now, though, I'm delighted to invite Richard Shaw to the stage and to his just applause. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, esteemed guests and beautifully bedecked academics, I have the utmost pleasure in presenting to you the award of honorary degree to the University Richard Shaw.
By the authority vested in me, I admit you to the honorary degree of Doctor of the University. Congratulations.
Lord Lieutenant, High Sheriff, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, fellow graduates, guests. Well, there's an AV, I can read it from here. It's a huge pleasure to be here today. Thank you for everyone who's gathered. I'm very, very honoured to be in your company. I'd like to congratulate my fellow graduates who are celebrating their fantastic achievements today. I pay tribute to them, to their families, their friends, their supporters, and those who have helped them become graduates of this outstanding institution. To have achieved their graduation in what has been the most challenging few years is quite extraordinary. And you deserve enormous recognition what you've done. Huge, huge congratulations on your achievement. On a personal note, I'd like to thank the University of Bradford for even considering me for this honorary award. I have to confess it was totally unexpected. I'm very grateful that you think I'm worthy of it. I was asked to share one thought with you before I let you get on with the rest of the day. It's tough, because I'm not in the habit of offering advice. Others have so much more wisdom and insight to offer than I do. But there is one thing which I thought might just be worth sharing. I'm very fortunate to be here today, but in all honesty, I don't really think this is an award for me. I think it's for the quite extraordinary people who brought their City of Culture 2025 title home to Bradford. By that, I just don't mean the staff of the bid, as brilliantly wonderful and imaginative and as hard-working as they all were. I'm talking about the volunteers, the steering groups, the board members, the advisors, the teachers, the artists and musicians, promoters, politicians, performers, and all the brilliantly creative people across Bradford district who saw the opportunity and went for it, giving up their time, applying their imagination, breathing passion into a bid that fought off the competition from 19 other cities across the UK. Truthfully, these are the people who deserve this recognition. They did something quite extraordinary. They collectively breathed life into an ambition and made it fly. Of course, there were some who at the time said, should we be really doing this now? There are so many other challenges facing down in the district. But in the moment that the judges announced that this was Bradford's time, the 2,000 people who gathered in City Park to hear the result live on BBC One, it was clear that this was the shared ambition of a huge number of people who had come together in passionate common cause. Winning the title of City of Culture 2025 was a truly collective act. It was only possible because so many passionate people put aside their own personal ambitions and worked together day and night for years to make it happen. I've never experienced the collective joy that rang out so loudly when Bradford was named City of Culture 2025. The cheers and celebrations that marked that day were for the work of thousands of people who came together over 3 years sharing the vision that we could do this. And this award is surely credit to their amazing commitment, their imagination, and their belief that this really is Bradford's time. Thank you to them, to my brilliant and dedicated colleagues at the bid and at the council. Nick Greenan, I'm looking at you, and Susan and Kirsten, thank you for your steadfast support and inspiration. And Al Dix, who's here today, who's also an honorary graduate of this university, thank you for your wisdom and your passion and your amazing insight. Thank you to the Producing Hub, to the Leap, to the Cultural Voice, and to the staff and students of this amazing university for helping to make it happen. Vice-Chancellor, in particular, your commitment to the cause was outstanding. Thank you personally. This award is tribute to everybody's collective passion and imagination, determination, and sheer hard work. Dan and Shanaz, who are leading the way ahead, are a brilliant and inspired leadership. They and their team are going to do something truly wonderful. Bring on 2025. This really is Bradford's time. Thank you once again.